Looking for music that lifts your spirit and fills your heart? Experience the powerful sound of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square. Now streaming on all your favorite music platforms. Find the Tabernacle Choir on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Pandora. Let the music of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square inspire you today and every day. Whether you're at home, in the car, or on the go, enjoy the beauty of their world-renowned sound anytime. The Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, streaming now.
LeBron is out in L.A., which might free up more money, which is why this whole Walker Kessler thing is getting a little more interesting for Jazz fans. But what is LeBron's legacy with the Lakers? Coming up at 9 o'clock, we'll talk with Larry Laker about this, and then you'll find out how bitter one Laker fan can get.
I think it's ho-hum.
Good, but not great? Not even good.
The standard for the Lakers and the Celtics is
so high.
Much higher than any other franchise, even the Knicks.
Tyler says he's a top 10 Laker. He brought a championship and brought him back to relevance. But Tavita dismisses the title. It was a made-up COVID tournament championship in Disney World.
You know, everyone was playing by the same rule, but it was funky.
It was definitely funky.
It just doesn't count as much. But, I mean...
But it does because people say he has 4 titles. And all that stuff gets lost in the details.
Bonds has whatever amount of home runs he has, but he doesn't.
I don't feel like LeBron gets devalued like Bonds. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
Nevertheless, but that's the example. It's not a literal comparison, but it's still a form of comparison.
I totally disagree with this. Izzy says statue outside and top 3 Laker of all time.
His ability, yes, but not as a Laker.
Right. He's not a top 3 Laker. If you want to go top NBA player of all time, she shoots into the stratosphere because he's LeBron. I don't think he's the GOAT, but he's very close. But as a top Laker of all time, I would say Shaq, Kareem, Magic, and Kareem, Shaq, and Kobe for sure in front of him. That's 4. And then you could say Jerry West.
Oh, I think most people put Jerry West
5.
George Mikan.
Going way back. Minneapolis, baby.
I mean, you stop that.
How about Wilt?
I would say Wilt, no. Elgin
Baylor.
Didn't win a title, so maybe not.
So we're arguing somewhere around 6, 7, 8, 9. He's not in the top 5, but he's in the next 5. Worthy?
I think Worthy is someone that was recognized and has stayed in the community. He does
TV.
What Mike Smith does here for us.
Yep.
So, yeah. And he's willing to say stuff. Mike Smith is too, for that matter. But James
will be critical of the team.
He will.
If he doesn't like what he's seeing, he'll say that. Right. And partly that's the Lakers' fault. And I think this is where LeBron gets
some. What do you mean it's the Lakers' fault?
Well, they ran out terrible teams for a long time, and they had him on TV. What was he supposed to say?
Well, yeah.
Come on. They had a run of missing the playoffs that was stunning.
Yeah, but, I mean, he's not – you're not going to crack on a player who isn't good enough for not being good enough. It's more than that.
Okay, and if I watched more of their broadcasts, I would probably pick up on that. You're right. Yeah. There are times where – they should have been better even when they were good.
I mean, I can't criticize Marcus Smart for not shooting like Steph Curry. But if he makes a boneheaded play,
a boneheaded turnover, gets beat when he shouldn't, right?
That's what our broadcasters have had to do the last few years. You can't go on and just crack on these guys for losing game after game
when they're trying.
Yeah, and some of these kids are just not good enough against who they're going against. You got to find the bright spots and the positives. We all understand that.
I do think for the people who want to crack on LeBron, the fact that they had their 6 straight years, they were running through 3 different coaches, and I think if you go back even further, it was like 5 and 7 years, and he elevated them back to relevance.
It doesn't matter, though.
Not enough because they're the Lakers.
See, the thing about that is those guys, you got the Tommy Lasorda, cut me open, what do I bleed?
Dodger blue.
Right.
Heard that quote a million times.
Cut open Kobe, what did he bleed? Magic.
Laker purple.
Yeah.
Laker purple.
And even though Abdul played a little bit with the Bucks, he went to college there.
LeBron's on his 4th chapter of his well-traveled career.
And he's going to go again, obviously, wherever, up north or whatever it might be.
The only winning 3 playoff series in the last 6 years takes luster off whatever people want to say about LeBron's era there.
I can't really blame him on that, too, because those would be ages 39.
35 to 41 or whatever.
If you went the last 3 years, 39, 40, 41. Duh. What player in the history of the game has ever done that as the lead dog?
Okay,
Nobody.
But you can't crack on him for him, but you can't elevate it for him either.
Understood. Yes, so I don't crack on him on that. It's actually amazing, unless he's doing something that shouldn't be done. His body and his ability to play at this advanced age is Tom Brady-like. And Nolan Ryan did it as a pitcher for a bit there. But other than that, there's not a lot of guys that are doing it that age. And so I don't expect them. So I don't think he takes a hit for the Lakers going out in the second round this year, especially without Doncic. But it just doesn't elevate him. There's no real dramatic moments.
No,
there's not. That Magic, just like I thought. Hook shot, good. Yeah,
and that's why he's top 5 Laker all time.
Kobe with the game-winning shots. Yep. 80 points in his last, or 60 points in his last game. Blah 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 blah.
Well, the guys who are listing at the top, that when we're listing all the Lakers, are all sitting on multiple titles. And LeBron's sitting on one that was won in a bubble with no fans there and no memory. All the fans were watching on TV. There's no court storming.
And plus, you've got 3 guys that's all who they ever played for. Nobody.
In West and Magic and Kobe.
Yeah. That's it.
Laker lifers.
Right.
And if you throw Elgin in there, that'd be a 4th.
And they never moved.
Yeah, the big guys
they stayed there the whole time.
Wilt, Kareem, and Shaq all started somewhere else.
When Shaq
and Shaq finished somewhere else.
Yeah. Won a title somewhere else.
Yeah. I guess they all did. Wilt and Shaq also. Wilt, Shaq, and Kareem all won titles somewhere else. Wilt won one in Philly.
Shaq being after.
Shaq after. Yeah.
Wilt other guys before.
Yeah. Wilt before in Philly and Kareem in Milwaukee.
But those and Shaq is the lovable goofball.
Yeah.
He's not telling you how to live your life off the floor. Shaq has no ambition to be some political leader that LeBron felt inspired to do at times, and his right to do it. I'm just saying. What LeBron thinks politically, I couldn't care less. No one ever, because an athlete or a singer has told me to do something on who to vote, means that's who I'm going to vote for.
Follow that celebrity down the road.
Nobody does that. It's so overrated. They think their opinions are so important. Good for them. And they do have the platform, and they want to use it. All right, that's perfectly legal. Fine.
You don't lose freedom of speech when you become popular.
Yes, but I don't think they have any influence. Clearly, they don't have any influence because the guy's been elected twice.
That'd be a bit of a sign.
Or they don't have enough influence, put it that way, right? Yeah. So people, that's so overrated. We get so outraged by these guys, shut up and dribble, blah, blah, blah. No, blab on all you want. It doesn't matter. In the end, it doesn't matter.
Well,
but some people might be turned off by that.
Election.
And
yes.
Shaq is out there, doing funny stuff and all that, and he's a lovable guy. So I think that increases his popularity.
Getting out of his chair, trying to run back to the screen, and tripping over wires and somersaulting.
Right, he's funny,
which is hilarious.
And then he's up there sobbing at the unfortunate tragedy
with Kobe.
And realizing that was stupid.
Yeah.
What's the point? What was the point of that? Now this man's dead in his early 40s or whatever it was. That's awful. And so that's human being. We've all been there. I was just talking about that with the guy I was golfing yesterday. He's probably listening. And his wife died and got remarried and all. And I don't sweat anything anymore.
Yeah.
I went through that. What's the difference? It doesn't matter. Who cares? And so we can relate to that.
Hard to stress somebody out after that.
Yeah. Shaq being this enormous mountain of a man somehow is relatable.
Yeah.
And so I think you factor all those things in there. But at the same time, as you say, LeBron is LeBron. He is not. He's like a golfer. They have their country that they're from, but they move around all over the place, and they're them. They're individual corporations.
Yep. Individual brand, individual corporation.
And that's what
That's what Rory is right now.
Yeah.
And that's what Scheffler is making himself into right in front of us.
Mm-hmm. And so I don't think that he holds a sacred place to the level of those other guys.
So Tyler gets it right then. Tyler says he is a top 10 Laker. He brought a championship and he brought him back to relevance.
But
he probably is a top 10 Laker.
Okay.
Or what about the guys who are
extending it?
But what about the guy? Yeah. But what about the guys who are super role players and super popular? I mean, from the 80s.
Yeah, they'll have a place, but I don't know.
But they're not going to be on an all-time list.
No.
Cooper, because the Lakers
Cooper
going
is
to come
the
on.
number one guy.
Cooper and Rambis. Now, Rambis is different because he moved into the front office, so his story continues, and it gets a little, he's not popular with everybody. He's popular with some people, but he's not popular with everybody. But those two guys were clearly role players. And yet they were wildly popular because the team won so much, and they had their role in that.
See, if LeBron really wants to make a difference, you come here and help this team win a title. He would be revered forever.
Yeah, he would flip the narratives.
Yeah. People would eat that up.
Who is the most loved former Laker in Utah? Is it Ron Boone? Because he played for the Lakers.
Kobe.
Do you think Jazz fans love Kobe?
I think they all came around in the end.
I think Kobe is respected for a phenomenal competitor. And you hated him while he was playing, and then the death. It's hard to go.
It's hard to go hard at it, given.
I hate that guy.
Yeah.
He's dead.
Yeah.
And he died
young in tragic circumstances.
Advocating in a helicopter for girls' youth basketball.
Literally on his way to a girls' basketball event. I don't remember if it was a practice or a game or a tourney or whatever.
It was a game. It was a Sunday morning.
But that's why his daughter was with him. And,
and that's why the other people
were there too.
Common people.
Right. Teammates, parents of teammates.
Yes. And he was helping girls' youth sports. Who doesn't get behind that?
Right.
Everybody does. Right.
That's a good place to invest your time.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. Even if it were boys' youth, it would have been cool. But girls makes it slightly more important, particularly females and body image and all the stuff that they have to deal with. And we all support that. Everybody supports that. So it's hard you can't crack on that. And he was the ultimate competitor. You have to acknowledge that. And he was a jerk at times, and Jordan was a jerk at times, but they were the ultimate competitors. What are you going to do there? I mean,
don't tend to get one without the other.
Yeah, really.
I mean, you go back to Jerry West.
Yeah, those guys. Yeah. I mean,
and West talking about it later. And he's talking about. I can still remember him doing an interview. It was a national thing, and he's like, "I'm in the point in my life where I'm giving back." And it was just this. The whole tone of the interview was, it was. I was totally about me, maybe to a detriment, at one point in my life, and I got to make sure that at this point in my life, I'm the complete opposite.
Kenny Dillingham has been pushing this Sun Devil for life.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to make it something special. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
The guy's a walking PR genius.
He really is. He really. I mean, he's working hard at it. And in an era when a lot of people are going away from it, he's leaning into it.
And so,
which, given the fact they don't have the money, he should.
Right, Sun Devil for life. Be in this community, and you'll be able to make money afterward. You'll be remembered. You'll be a star. And the Utes did it with the hometown hero billboards and all that. And you should do that. Take advantage of what you have available to you. And Kobe and Magic and West, Laker for life. Well, LeBron isn't.
Well, Marvin says he ruined being a Laker fan for me. He's not a Laker. That is a remarkably small market attitude in a massive market. LA isn't typically.
LA is a great big freeway.
Okay, number one, it is a great big freeway. But number two, it isn't a market that has.
To San Jose?
It is not a market that has minded ripping off players, coaches, or entire franchises from other markets. They don't mind the transplants. Shohei started as an Angel. Now Dodger fans love him. They don't.
Yeah, well, he was with
he
was at the Dodger minor leagues. The Angels.
Well, that's basically how they view the world.
The Dodgers quadruple A team is now the
They have a
Angels.
handful of homegrowns. They did have, Dodger lifers who came up through the organization.
Well, they had the longest running infield there.
Right.
And I don't know that all four of them, did they all come up through the minors? I don't even know that. I don't know. Maybe
Garvey's saying Russell did. The one I don't know is Lopes, because I've
know.
seen the pictures in Ogden of three of them with Lasorda when he managed like 4 years or whatever it was before they all went to the bigs. And Lasorda was a base coach before he was a manager.
But, that was a different era.
It was. But Stafford is a longtime Detroit Lion. They don't care. That was a cool Super Bowl. You can go through every sport. Gretzky, they embraced him. He was an Edmonton Oiler.
If you're traded there,
that is different. And some of these guys had only been on one team. I guess Wilt had been on two. But LA just doesn't typically concern itself with that. I think Marvin's going against the tide here, which is fine. That makes the world go round.
But
Great,
you're comparing the ultimate, and he doesn't measure up to the ultimate because there wasn't that commitment.
He can't be Magic playing his whole career there, and he can't be Kobe.
The longer you go away from it, the more we as fans romanticize it.
We forget the bumps along the way. Just remember the good times.
He was a Laker.
Yeah.
And he was one of us. And that was my childhood. That was when life was carefree. I didn't know it was carefree, but now I know it was carefree.
Yeah.
And so you romanticize it, and it becomes bigger. I play with a guy in my golf league. He's 79 years old. And he grew up in Boston. And so he'll ask you, your pa? And for 57 years, he was a golf pro. He had the same putter. He was telling me yesterday. He used the same putter for 57 years.
Wow.
Well, I haven't even golfed 57 years, and it was the same putter. And I said to him, why every time that you talk do I think of an episode of Cheers? He's thick Boston accent, right? And he's telling me about the 61 All-Star game. He's sitting in the front row in the center field bleachers in the right center in Fenway. Mm-hmm. And they started Mays, Aaron, Clemente.
Wow.
And I'm like, give me more.
I know, this is awesome. I look at All-Star games now, and it just, yeah.
And I'm, obviously I'm not watching the 61 All-Star game, and he's reciting it.
And it's all Hall of Famers. It's all legends.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, wow, what it must have been to sit there and watch those guys, Mays, Aaron, Clemente, in their prime. Oh, I wish I was there. And we romanticize these things, and that's what Laker fans are doing. Well, they're going to romanticize Magic, West, Kobe. Even if you don't remember seeing West, you know who he was, and you know he was a phenomenal player, and you're going to romanticize it. Even if you never saw him play one play. And LeBron, and especially, it's hard to romanticize LeBron because we don't romanticize the things that are right now.
No, we
hey,
don't do
Dad,
that.
you want to have a catch? Well, his dad was dead. And he came back. You remember that movie?
I do. Field of Dreams. And they're going back there this year.
That's like...
Why doesn't baseball go there once every year?
What's that deal with the Saturday night skit with... who's the Down by the River guy, the fat guy?
John Candy. No,
not Candy, the other guy.
Chris Farley.
Yeah, and he's got McCartney. Do you remember that time when you were with the Beatles? Yeah, I do. Yeah. It's funny as all get out, right?
That was awesome.
Of course he does.
Chris Farley will never.
When he did that interview character, the time he did it with Jordan and the time he did it with McCartney were just the best.
Yeah. But hilarious. Saturday Night Live now, that show sucks.
I agree.
Right.
But in 10 years, this will be a great era, and that'll suck.
Right. That's the romanticism of life that we do.
We pretend like these golden generations, like they never did a skit that was, B-.
Right.
Come on. Sure they did.
Of course they did.
We just think they were all A+. It was all.
Oh, yeah. I even go back to Tina Fey and what's the Parks and Rec chick, the blonde gal, and Tina
Amy
Fey.
Poehler.
Yeah, and they're doing that thing of Sarah Palin. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
I was laughing
Sarah
like-
Palin and Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. It was super
Amy did
funny.
Hillary,
And that's not that far ago. So you don't even have to go back. But you always want to go back. In order to romanticize, you got to go back. And I think that's what Laker fans will do with LeBron. And it will take you back to a time. And even if you had a bunch of crap you were dealing with, oh, that was the best time. Because you remember the good time. Of course, if you're like me, it's different. But the rest of the people, they remember the good times.
The rest of the people who are wired right.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, DJ PK, we got to take a break. When we come back, switching gears, college football. John Brice, college sports insider for USA Today. We're going to talk some Big 12 football with him. He spent some time in Provo following Kalani Sitake around. We will get to that next. Stay with us.
3, 2, 1. This is Scotty G and Coach Tim LeCoe.
Brian Haney joins us now. He is the play-by-play voice of the Kansas Jayhawks. I know that Darren desperately wanted to be that number 1 overall pick. He's got himself into a good situation here. I know he realizes it. I know this team realizes it. This feels like a win-win for both sides.
For a guy that Bill Self has said is going to be a perennial NBA All-Star, this is maybe just the extra chip on his shoulder or competitive edge he might need to fuel his fire into being one of the most prolific players of his generation. This was just one player picked in front of Darren, but because he's such an alpha, I kind of think if I'm a Jazz fan, not only am I thrilled to get the player that Jay Billis says is the most talented prospect in the draft, but also you get a player that now has just even more fuel to his fire to push even harder and build on that legacy that we all think is inevitable for him at the next level.
Catch Scotty G and Coach weekdays from 10 to 2, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up, Larry the Laker on the end of the LeBron James era in L.A. He ought to be salty. You think he can just look at the Dodgers and the way they're flying through things and just focus on that?
No, he's a Laker. I think he's a Laker to his core.
Laker first, Dodgers second. I've seen him get pretty salty about the Dodgers, too.
Yeah.
He wants them both to win all the time, which even they can't pull that off.
Everybody does. And
Yeah.
you're a fan.
We got a little breaking news this morning. The Pac-12, the new home of the Utah State Aggies, assigned a 2-year deal. The basketball tournament's going to the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, starting in 2027, which it turns out is next season.
Yeah.
And 2 seeds will get double buys to semifinals of the event. Think Gonzaga provided any advice there? Mm-hmm. 3 and 4 will get a bye to the quarterfinals, so everybody will be trying to finish top 4.
I always knew that Utah State would get into Pac-12 before BYU.
DJ PK, and we're joined now by John Brice, college sports insider for USA Today. John, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. We wanted to talk to you. You spent a little time in Utah, and you didn't give us a call. You blew right through town without talking to us. But, hey, you got to hang out with Kalani Sitake and write a little story about him. And you got into him and the vibe he's trying to create around the program. And I don't think trying to create, he is creating around the program.
Yeah, that's the second time that I've gotten to spend some really in-depth quality time with Coach Sitake in the last few years. The previous one was for Football Scoop, and then this most recent one for USA Today. And I've gotten to know him at some of the AFCA conventions through the years as well, and had actually bumped into him this past January in Charlotte, and then was out this way last month and reached out to BYU and asked if I could come over, and ended up spending 4 or 5 hours on campus that day. Got some time with Aaron Roderick as well, but just always struck by the authenticity of Kalani Sitake.
Yeah, that's a very good word, because I would say genuine. You know, we've been doing this radio show for 25 years, so we're veteran guys here. And before that, for 14 years, I was the beat writer at the Salt Lake Tribune, and I covered these guys when they were players. And Kalani was that way as a young man, and he's certainly this way as an older man. The word genuine comes to mind as far as that goes. You know, I'd tell you a little story about him that when he was up at Oregon State for that brief time, and they Bronco Mendenhall took off, so it was obvious because of the religious connection that Kalani was going to be a top candidate, right? And so, you know, people were texting him and wanting to get his word on it, but, he had to be low-key. Well, that season, which is in December, the time of year, Christmas Day, he gets in touch with me and tells me, hey, sorry, man, I couldn't get back to you, but I just want you to know, I value our friendship and look forward to working with you. Blah. And I get it, man. I've been in the business for years. I know you got to be quiet. But this is a little anecdote of his interpersonal skills, which I think are off the charts, and you have obviously experienced that. And get your thought on how that genuine and authenticity, as you say, is actually helping him build a really good program.
Yeah, I've gotten to spend time with a bunch of different coaches around the sport this spring, particularly some first-year guys in the SEC and at the University of Memphis, and then Kalani certainly being a veteran. And I think that authenticity and that genuineness, as you put it, is critical in this era because as a coach told me this past week at a symposium in Atlanta, he was like, I can spend 10 minutes watching an AI video and not know it's AI. My players will know in 10 seconds. And so I think players are really smart right now. They know real from fake, and Kalani Sitake is real. And just briefly on that anecdote note, I'm one of the people who saw Kalani in general boarding talking to people, just talking to random people, because I talked to him in general boarding, getting ready to get on a flight cross country recently. And so because of that, you see that. And I was blown away when he gave me that quote that, sometimes I'm sad when I see them put their AirPods in because I want to have a conversation with them. No coach does that. No coach does that. I'm at these conventions and these guys are flying the university jets in or booster jets in, and they're getting in and out as quickly as possible. Kalani's standing in a line 10 deep with a crowd of Utah high school coaches talking to him as he prepares to fly back cross country into Salt Lake, no less, not even Provo. And Provo's got a great airport.
Yeah.
You get to interact with coaches in different leagues and all that. And a lot of coaches, some coaches probably don't value this at all, so set them aside. But there's probably other coaches who do, but it's not necessarily easy to create this and then sustain it. So I'm interested in your experience interacting with other coaches. What can be done to sustain it, and why does Kalani do it, and how many other people are doing this? I mean, it's never going to be exactly the same, but how many people are in the same ballpark as far as creating this type of attitude around a program?
I would say Kalani Sitake and Marcus Freeman are two at the very tip top who have created and honed an authentic culture that is lasting and that is rooted in substance. And I think that's the biggest key. The sport, as you guys well know, has never been more transactional. And because of the way that those programs are rooted in reality and in realness with one another, I think that positions them. I think that Kalani said it in the story. Like, we pay guys. We're happy to pay guys. They should be paid. We're never going to be the highest bidder. We will not get in a bidding war. Notre Dame is probably a little more aggressive in how much money it's spending overall, but it also values culture and will stop the bidding if it feels like a guy is going to be disruptive. So honestly, right off the bat, those are two of the top ones. Matt Campbell had a very similar culture at Iowa State. We'll see if it will translate to Penn State University. But those are really the ones that stand out to me. I'm not sure how much genuine culture is out there. Kyle Whittingham had it to a large extent at the University of Utah. Now he's challenged with building the same thing again at the University of Michigan. But when I was doing the story and when I was talking with people again over the weekend in Atlanta, then what really resonated with me is that, and I've spent a lot of time around Marcus Freeman because when I'm not out in Utah, I'm in South Bend, and Kalani Sitake talked to me about Marcus Freeman, and I see a great number of similarities in those two gentlemen.
Also, too, you said you spent some time with Aaron Roderick. I don't want to go into detail, but I think the loyalty factor to Kalani is literally the number one reason why Aaron Roderick is at BYU, a veteran play caller who has had opportunities to leave, but his connection to Kalani keeps him there.
Yeah, I think you're 100% correct. We talked about that very component, and he talked about his loyalty to Kalani, and he made it clear in a smaller separate piece that my editors published yesterday about how grateful he was to continue working for Kalani, but to continue working for Kalani at BYU. And in my role, again, previously at Football Scoop and now at USA Today, I deal with agents a lot and college coaches' agents, and those two guys have turned down a lot of money. I'll just put it that way. Kalani Sitake and Aaron Roderick have turned down a lot of money through the years to stay loyal to BYU. I think it's refreshing. The sport needs more stories like that.
You make the point about the players' very finely tuned antennas, right? And they can get the fake from the genuine. But at the same time, players don't tend to turn down a lot of money. How valuable is this attitude that they've got at BYU, they got at Notre Dame, maybe they had it at Iowa State and Utah, now they're going through their own coaching changes there. How valuable is that in recruiting, and how much of it just comes down to dollars and cents? And does this just come down as like a tiebreaker when the bids are about the same? How much does it matter? Because you got playing time out there, you got whatever parents or coaches are exerting influence with their own interests and agendas.
Yeah, I think it can be a little bit more than a tiebreaker. Can it cause a guy to give a hometown discount? I think so. I think it can, maybe for a guy who's contemplating going into the portal after his first or second year and ends up staying and probably ends up taking a little less money to stay in order to continue to be a part of it. I think this is where BYU and Notre Dame separate themselves a little bit because of the value of the degrees, and they're both global brands in my opinion. And the BYU Comm School, the BYU Business School are really, really powerful engines, and Notre Dame certainly has its business school and prepares a lot of people for law school and medical school as well, and just the value of that Notre Dame degree. So I do think that it's a little bit more than a tiebreaker. I think there are different regions of the country that it's far more strictly transactional. And, I talked with a guy last week for a story we're working on to preview the college football season who lost a linebacker in conference. And the money there would blow your mind because this was not one of the power leagues, and he lost a linebacker to a rival in conference for $500,000. And the head coach said the kid called him as soon as he left the other coach's office, and he said, "Well, I hoped you signed it before you called me." So there is still some authenticity and some realness there when these guys are dealing with one another, even as they're preparing to lose them. But I do think culture matters, and I do think when you look at the overall roster turnover, and maybe it's a study later this year or maybe it's a study in a couple of years, Notre Dame and BYU have not had as much roster churn as a lot of their peers.
You obviously have a familiarity with Notre Dame, and a lot of people here certainly are looking forward to Saturday, October 17th in Provo, Utah, Lavelle Edwards Stadium, thinking that obviously that's when they play BYU and the Notre Dame game. And who knows what's going to happen, but there's an opportunity at least for both teams to be undefeated and have it be the game of the week, blah, blah, blah. Could you give us some insight into what you're expecting out of Notre Dame this season?
Yeah, I just turned in my USA Today preseason top 25 ballot. I had both Notre Dame and BYU inside of the top 10. I will be at that game on the 17th of October. I'm extremely excited to attend and cover that contest. I think it will be one of the preeminent matchups in college football this season. I think Bear Bachmeier is really poised for a giant next step. I think he was kind of a raw athlete who just made plays because he's a heck of a football player last year. I think he will take a step this year as a more complete quarterback. Notre Dame is going to lean on the right arm of C.J. Carr, who I think will have an opportunity to go pro after this season. And then I think the Notre Dame defense will be one of the very best in all of college football. But I really like the Glasgow guy at linebacker for BYU. I think BYU's perimeter skill is slept on a little bit, and certainly L.J. Martin is an elite running back. So I think it will be one of the best games in college football this year. I think the week before I'm at Georgia, at Alabama, and then I get Notre Dame, BYU, and the week after that I maybe get Indiana, Michigan. So I'm going to have a pretty blessed October.
Nice.
John Brice, College Sports Insider for USA Today, joining us. In your story on BYU and Kalani, you did reference the scandal at Texas Tech, and I'm curious how far you think they're going to fall. Arizona State did go 7-2, and they got in the conference title game. It was a four-way tie at 7-2, and they won the conference title 2 years ago. Obviously, they're the only team that beat Tech last year. Utah and BYU aren't on Tech's schedule this year. Is there a team or two out there that can take Tech down and keep them out of the title game, or should we just pencil them in?
No, I definitely think that Tech has its work cut out for it. I think the Red Raiders will be really good on defense, and I like Joey McGuire. I think he's been put in a pretty untenable situation by that whole sordid saga. But I would not remotely pencil or pin Texas Tech into the Big 12 championship game. I know in speaking with some coaches, including some here in the Utah area, that they expect a big jump out of Central Florida this year. I'm not quite that far, but I do think the league is going to have some really quality teams. I know Lance Leipold is really motivated to get things rolling back. I like what Arizona returns in some key spots. Certainly, I think Utah will have a voice in it. We'll see what Devin Dampier does as he continues also to progress at quarterback. But no, I mean, BYU is my preseason favorite in the Big 12. BYU is the only team from the league that I put inside of my top 10. And I think that Texas Tech will be hard-pressed to be a 10-win team this year.
And why would you say that?
Because I think that, certainly the timing and Sorsby finally waving the white flag that everyone in America knew he should wave gives Tech all summer to transition, but they're still – they were going to pay Brennan Sorsby more than $6 million to be their quarterback for a reason. And the next guy on the roster is not Brennan Sorsby. Brennan Sorsby had the NFL held a supplemental draft. I had multiple NFL people tell me he had as high as a second-round grade, and some teams might have shaved it down. Some teams might have really given him a first-round grade in a typical year, but felt like they could get him on a second-round grade had there been a supplemental draft. And so I just think for all those reasons, you're going to have your work cut out for you. And you're going to be, even with Sorsby not playing, Texas Tech has now emerged as one of the villains in all of college football. Yeah. They started that. It trended that way last year with how much money they spent. This year they're spending, again, more than $50 million on that roster. They're kind of the poster boys, and they're leaning into it of being the renegade mercenaries of college football, but they're the renegade mercenaries without the quarterback they expected. So I really think that, they're going to struggle to score points, and they're going to have some issues in that regard.
You think the Big 12 can get two teams in the playoff?
Boy, that's a great question. One, I can't answer it today. If you guys want to have me back on in the fall, then maybe I'll have a better handle. And I'm not ready to say that yet. I think there are a couple of teams that could give the Big 12, that opportunity to get two teams into the playoffs. They obviously were incredibly close last year, and had it been a 16-team playoff, I think that would have been the perfect number last year. And I think BYU is a team that would have been capable, as well as they were playing against anyone not named Texas Tech, and just sort of the physicality that they played with and the different dynamics that they had on offense. So I think it's possible. I will not sit here and tell you that I don't think there's any path whatsoever for it, but I think it's a little bit of an uphill trek.
Billionaire booster Cody Campbell has fancied himself as a reformist, I guess, if that's a word, in college sports, right? And he's taken it to the highest levels. I think the Sorsby thing really shot down his credibility, and he comes off as a Texas Tech fan first and foremost, not necessarily what's in the best interest of college football. So I think that now, from going forward, whatever he says, I'm going to view a little more skeptically. What do you think of that?
I think that's fair, and I certainly understand that. I've got some of my colleagues that know Cody much, much better than I do. I will say I think that he truly does want to see college sports preserved and wants to see a more uniform playing field. But until that time occurs, then I think he's plenty happy to lean into it and completely exacerbate the problem. And it's almost like what you kind of alluded to as the hypocrisy of his words and actions are almost to underscore the hypocrisy of where college athletics are right now.
The University of Michigan is going to be getting a lot more attention in the state of Utah. There'll be some people rooting for the Wolverines. There'll be some people rooting against the Wolverines, but I don't think people are going to be able to take their eyes off Kyle Whittingham. And obviously his staff has not only former Utes, but obviously the Cougars defensive coordinator in Jay Hill, who played at Utah. Where do you think Michigan fits in the pecking order in the Big Ten?
Yeah, I think they've got their work cut out for them. We'll see what kind of step forward Brice Underwood can make. We'll see how much Whittingham and company can do to kind of protect him and not put as much on him. I think that this will certainly be an exponentially better coached Michigan football team than what we saw a year ago or even the previous year under Sharon Moore. From all the people I've talked to, matter of fact, somebody on Whittingham's current staff told me point blank, quote, "It's a miracle these guys won any games last year as dysfunctional as this place was." So that gives you an idea of kind of what Whittingham and company walked into. He's the perfect steadying force, I think, for Michigan and can lead them for the next 4 or 5 years and kind of through a critical transitional period. But I think they're way down. Oregon and certainly Ohio State, I would have well above Michigan. USC believes that it has by far its best team of Lincoln Riley's 5 seasons, now going on to 6, I guess. So all of those teams are ahead of them. Where does Penn State shake out now with Matt Campbell? What kind of first-year impact can Pat Fitzgerald have at Michigan State? Michigan State's going to be well behind Michigan, but I would have a hard time having Michigan above 4th in my own personal Big Ten rankings.
John, we appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on and hitting on a variety of topics this morning. We appreciate it.
No, grateful. I'll be at Big 12 Media Days next week in Frisco, so hope to meet some of you guys in person.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Thank you, John. John Brice, College Sports Insider for USA Today. DJ and PK coming up at 9 o'clock. The long-awaited return of Larry the Laker. LeBron is done in L.A. What does Larry think of that? And where do the Lakers go from here? And how badly does he want Kessler? Talk Lakers with Larry the Laker, who ought to be fired up and entertaining. That's 10 minutes away. Stay with us.
Welcome to This is Chase Scott and Ben Anderson.
Everything I have heard, Walker loves Utah. Walker wants to be in Utah. Walker's happy in Utah. Walker would prefer to end up in Utah, but he just wants as much money as possible.
He was around the team an incredible amount last year.
Yep, he was.
He was with them on the road on trips that he absolutely did not need to go to for a player that shut it down for the entire year. And he was with them at the end of the year, again, where he had even less incentive to be with the team, around the players, around the new players in Jaren Jackson Jr.
The Jazz love Walker the person. They really like Walker the player. They want him to be a part of their team. But you can't pay the wrong person too much money, because then you're not building a championship team anymore. You know, you're not building a contending team. You're just paying your dudes because you like your dudes, and that's not the job. You've got to get everybody in the right place at the right price.
Catch Jake and Ben afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Just talked a little college football with John Brice. Hit a lot of topics there, PK.
Man, I want to put my hand in the dirt right now.
7-2. That is a good conference record. But the hit rate on getting to the conference title game, and there's our little 2-year sample here of the Big 12, 40%, right?
Beat Notre Dame, you don't have any to worry about it.
Beat Notre Dame, go 7-2 in conference, and you'd be in the conference title game?
Mm-hmm.
Can see why you'd say that, but I can't guarantee it.
And you'd get in the playoff.
10-2 with a win over the Irish.
Yeah. And
that's how they get the
losses
second team
in the
in.
Conference.
Yeah, that's how they get the second team in the tournament.
Yeah. And, you know, you want Notre Dame to do well. They play on October 17th. Notre Dame, Wisconsin, Rice, Michigan State, Purdue, North Carolina, Stanford.
Should be undefeated.
I see no reason why they lose any of those games. I mean, you never know. What Wisconsin what are they going to be? You know, that time's
they've been way down.
Yeah. Michigan State.
They've been way down.
Rebuilding. North Carolina, it seems like it's only a matter of time. That seems like a Bill Walsh thing at Stanford. Doesn't last very long. And Stanford obviously is reloading. BYU, more difficult schedule going into that game. Obviously, Utah Tech would be a win. Colorado State over there, suspected to be a win. But Arizona and TCU, very difficult. TCU down in Fort Worth, very difficult game.
So the Cougs might have a loss going into that.
They get Iowa State at home the week before. So, yeah. That if BYU, and from the starting point, John Brice has them in his top 10. If BYU rolls into that game, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5-0.
Yeah. Wow. You're 5. They most definitely, because if you beat Arizona and TCU, those are teams that are around the periphery of expected to be very competitive. The Cats, week 2, 1:30 in Provo, should be blazing hot. Although Arizona's going to look, they need 2. Get out of my
It's
face.
not blazing hot.
It's a spring day out here. This is great.
There's no part of that is blazing hot to somebody from Tucson.
But I'm excited to be at LaVell Edwards Stadium that day to cover that game. Look, I'm already looking forward to it. That's a great win. And going down to Fort Worth, I've been down there many times, BYU playing them back in the old days, and that would be an excellent win too.
All right, DJ PK, when we come back, Larry the Laker joins us. Is Walker Kessler going to L.A.? LeBron is gone. How do Laker fans look at him, and where do they think he's going? And do they even care? We'll get to all that. Larry the Laker will spice things up next. Stay with us.